Hello and welcome to Pat's Latest. I'm your host, Mike Gambardella, and we are inching closer to Patriots football finally kicking off this Friday, just a day away, and joint practices with the Washington Commanders. Eye-opening indeed as we see more of what this New England Patriots team is going to look like under Mike Vrabel and who's stepping up to the challenge. Also, Mike Vrabel stepping up himself, involved in a skirmish that left himself with some blood streaming down his face. We'll get into more of that as well as some stock up, stock down. But before we get into everything, make sure you go down, subscribe for the channel, get in the comments, let us know what you think about the Pats going up against the Washington Commanders. Who's standing out to you? And what do you think of Mike Vrabel going to bat for his team? Also, make sure you go down, give us a like, and go back and check out all of our old episodes after this one as well. We start with those joint practices with the Washington Commanders, and we've said all along here on Pat's Latest, going back to some of our first episodes as things get underway, of how the Washington Commanders have really set the path forward for the Patriots to see a true turnaround. And whether it was Mike Vrabel and Dan Quinn and the similarities there, adding players like Bobby Wagner, now Robert Spillane, Harold Landry, having a quarterback that can take on the challenge of a young player coming into their own, whether it's Jaden Daniels and now Drake May, there is a lot there to work with. And it could go either way, obviously, but when they finally got onto the field, there was not a big difference between the two teams that were out there. One being a 4-win team from last year and one being in a conference championship game. So it was good to see that there's been a big turnaround for the New England Patriots. It's evident now when going up against a team that was down to the final two in their own conference and final four overall in the NFL last year, and goes to show that the Patriots are not going to be the same Pats that you've seen on the field the past couple seasons. Now, a great deal of that has to be given to Mike Vrabel and the culture he's instilling and the defense that he's bringing, as well as Josh McDaniels and the offense that he's instilling and the jump that is coming from Drake May. All of that evident in the first couple days of practice. And I think none more evident than when Mike Vrabel saw, after Travion Henderson and Von Miller, actually new to the Washington Commanders, as well as he joins yet another team on a one-year contract, trying to, again, we talk about ring chasing in a sense, right? Finding the opportunity where you can make the most money in a one-year deal while also having an opportunity to compete for that Lombardi trophy. Both those players got into it after a certain point, and everybody kind of came together after them, leading to a benches clearing brawl, essentially, if you will. And Mike Vrabel kind of came out of nowhere and suddenly is in the middle of that pile on the ground, pushing, scrapping. And as he came out, had a cut on his face, blood coming down, had to have just a towel to cover himself over. And I think that is just very much representative of what Mike Vrabel means to this team, of what this team is now doing to emulate him. Now he's going to bat for a rookie going up against one of the best defensive ends that we've seen in the past 2 decades in the NFL. So a lot of things at play here. I think, people may point to Travion had a tough day with a couple drops that has not been evident of what we've seen in practice, and a guy that maybe you could have been frustrated with. Vrabel comes in for a rookie and goes right at Von Miller. Not necessarily at Von Miller, but to have his back in that scenario, I think is very, very, very telling. And something, again, to get excited about. When's the last time you heard of a coach getting into a scrum, a skirmish, a shoving match, whatever you want to call it, coming away with blood streaming down his face, and then continuing like nothing's happened? That's your New England Patriots, folks. Get excited. Mike Vrabel is here to stay. We also take a look quickly at our stock up, stock down segment, and a couple that may really surprise you. One that absolutely will not is Demario Pop Douglas. Has absolutely been sensational, been Drake May's top target, and continues to flourish in Josh McDaniels' system. And it shouldn't become a surprising thing to anyone, really, because we know that Josh McDaniels' system is set up for those slot receivers to really have success. And he has taken to it. He's going to get into space. He's going to have an opportunity to shine. And it really comes down to Pop and, what he can do with those opportunities. And thus far has absolutely ran with them to no pardon the pun there. He really is running past everybody, either in the breaks, in and out of those routes, or just getting himself open as well. Another one that actually is surprising is Javon Baker, written off by many after the fourth rounder from last year. Really wasn't able to do anything with his opportunities, and even a slow start to camp really came out of nowhere the past couple days, and then caught 3 touchdowns in 7-on-7s yesterday, and was essentially promoted by Mike Vrabel as when they split the field with the top tier guys and everybody else, so pretty much top offense and backups and second half. So who goes with Josh Jobs? Who goes with Drake May? Javon Baker stayed and started practicing with the ones essentially. And that is something that has not happened. And, we've heard this before where Javon Baker makes splash plays and does things, but Mike Vrabel has rewarded him. And as we talk about, there really are 5 wide receivers that have essentially etched their spot here, with Kayshon Boutte essentially practicing with the ones and being in the top 3. Mac Hollins coming back and Kyle Williams essentially a shoe-in. Who's going to get that 6th spot? And Javon Baker now has put his name firmly into the ring. Jalen Polk had been the guy that has been very, impressive, kind of took a back seat the past couple days here. And Efton Chisholm just continues to do great work. But is that enough for an undrafted free agent to really crack through? So again, congrats to Javon Baker. Some stock down. One that actually is surprising as well is Kyle Duggar, who's had a tough go of it, obviously coming back from injury, not really playing up to his standard, having a few mistakes here and there, getting beat on a few routes. It unfortunately could put him on the cut line. And this is surprising because you're talking about a starting safety. But again, we've seen this before in New England, whether it's Lawyer Malloy or anybody else. But it kind of points to whether it's declining performance, injury, or what have you, when your contract gets up that far and you're not delivering, and with having a pretty robust safety room behind them, don't be surprised if Kyle Duggar starts to be talked about more on that cut line and could potentially open up some spots on that 53-man roster. The other stock down is Kendrick Bourne, who we've kind of had on that down line. He has been outside of my 53-man projection for quite some time. And while just a great player, great teammate, on top of kind of only practicing with the twos, not getting a ton of time with Drake May, he has now been injured, missed the past few days. Looks like he obviously was out of joint practices and could miss Friday's preseason game as well, is not boding well for Kendrick Bourne. And finally, a bit of a fun part of getting to joint practices and getting some more excitement, and that Boston aura reigning through NBA champion Jason Tatum, who tore his Achilles, unfortunately, in the playoffs. It was great to see him walking around the practice field and interacting not only with Drake May and the rest of the Patriots, and I think there was some great photos of the two of them kind of chopping it up a little bit, and realizing that there's about 10 months worth of sports or Boston sports agony that comes from those two guys, and probably will be in charge of that for the next decade if they have anything to say about it. And I think, to be perfectly honest, Boston sports fans are in very good hands with them to have them at the reins, and we wish Jason Tatum the best of health, and hopefully we'll be able to get back on the court sooner rather than later, and gets a chance this season to hopefully get back out there. Obviously, will be tough to see him before the All-Star break, but if he can get in by the end of the season and help that Celtics team perhaps make some noise, they're going to be in the mix for the playoff spot. Won't be the usual 1, 2, 3 spot, probably in that 7, 8 range, but could make some surprising results towards the end of it as well. And it wasn't just Jason Tatum who's out there. Some other celebrities, Danny Amendola, who Efton Chisholm has gotten that tape from Josh McDaniels, saying go to emulate him. Wonder if he had a chance to pick his brain. We'll follow up on that one there for you as well. And of course, longtime friend of the program, if you will, and good friend of Robert Kraft, John Bon Jovi was out there. So the celebrities there were lines out the door. down the street to come in and see joint practices. There is a buzz, there is an excitement around the Patriots, and we'll continue to have all of it covered for you here on Pat's Latest. As we do, make sure you go down and subscribe for the channel. Get in the comments, let us know what you think about the Pats going up against the Commanders and how they rank already, and what you think of what Mike Vrabel's been able to do so far. Give us that like. Go check out all of our old episodes so you know what's going on with your Patriots. We'll have it all for you right here. Fight on, Foxborough.